Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are unpacking a deeply familiar and, honestly, sometimes incredibly frustrating scenario that plays out in homes literally all over the world. We're looking at the actual science behind a very specific kind of silence. So picture this. It's a random Tuesday evening and you're at the dinner table. Your teenager just came home with a fantastic exam grade, or maybe they've spent weeks grinding on this amazing art project, or they just played their absolute heart out in a weekend game. And you, sitting right there across from them, offer a piece of genuine, totally heartfelt praise.
You tell them, "You did so well, I'm really proud of you," and you deliver these words with just absolute warmth. There are no strings attached here, no hidden agendas, it's just pure, unfiltered parental pride. And naturally, as you put those affirming words out into the air, you wait. You wait for a smile, maybe a little spark in their eyes, a shift in their posture, or just a simple thank you. You fully anticipate that your positive reinforcement is going to land softly and make them feel absolutely amazing about themselves.
But instead, you get this. Just a flat, totally deadpan, single syllable, okay. Or maybe it's just a subtle shrug of the shoulders. Or, honestly worse, they just keep staring at their phone, scrolling away, acting as if you literally didn't say anything at all. It feels like a door just slammed shut right in your face. And it's a crushing reality in the moment. You're left sitting there, your praise hanging awkwardly in the air, and you feel that immediate twinge of self-doubt. You think, did I say too much? Did I do something wrong? Do they just not care about what I think anymore?
Okay, let's dive into this, because the answer is completely shifting how we understand adolescence. We're going to move away from that emotional pain point of feeling rejected as a parent, and we're going to unpack the fascinating, microscopic, scientific reality of what is actually going on inside the adolescent brain during these interactions. And the science here is incredibly revealing, and for sure, it's quite comforting once you grasp it.
Section 1. How the reward system works. The neurology of praise.
To really understand that frustrating dinner table moment, we have to grasp a fundamental biological truth. And that is, the adolescent brain processes praise fundamentally differently than an adult brain does. They aren't just mini adults choosing to be difficult, right? Their hardware is literally functioning differently. Let's look at the brain's reward system. This is the network that releases happiness chemicals when we feel valued. When you compliment a fully grown adult, this glowing internal network just fires right up. It releases dopamine, that powerful happiness chemical, making us feel secure and satisfied. But in teenagers, this system is essentially a massive construction zone. It is highly sensitive, yet incredibly selective about what actually triggers those chemicals.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how stark the contrast is. In the adult brain, standard, predictable praise works like an absolute charm. It fires reliably. You tell a colleague they did a great job on a presentation, and boom, they get a dopamine hit. But the teen brain, it requires highly specific, novel stimuli to light up. It inherently craves high-stakes situations, risks, or approval from their peers. So your constant, unconditional love and praise is, neurologically speaking, just too standard to fully ignite that actively developing reward center.
Which brings us to this incredibly simple equation. Predictability equals less dopamine. The teenage brain already expects you to love them. Mom or dad praising me isn't a surprise to them. It's a known fact of their universe. And when something is fully expected, the brain's reward system just doesn't fire as strongly. It's kind of like eating your absolute favorite meal every single day. Eventually, the intensity of the flavor just fades, no matter how good it is. So, I want to reassure you, being boring to your teen's brain absolutely does not mean they don't love you. Actually, scratch that. It means something better. It means you are successfully providing a safe, guaranteed, and unwavering baseline in their life.
Section 2. Identity construction and the defense shield. The fear of believing praise.
But, neurology is only half the story. Let's look at the psychological side of things. Ignoring praise is very often a silent defense mechanism during a period of intense, sometimes really chaotic identity formation. Every single day, a teenager is grappling with these massive, exhausting questions. Who am I? What is the right thing to think about me? So when you say, "You are so talented," a literal collision happens in their mind. One inner voice desperately wants to believe you and soak in that validation. But the other voice is terrified. It's thinking, what if I'm not actually talented? What if I fail next time and prove them all wrong? There is an exact, specific sequence to why they block the praise. Let's break it down. Step 1, they hear the praise. Step 2, the internal pressure instantly mounts. They suddenly fear the heavy burden of future disappointment if they can't maintain that new high standard. And step 3, they reject the praise entirely just to stay safe.
Because taking the compliment means believing it, and believing it means they have further to fall if they mess up tomorrow. So blocking it with a simple okay is exactly how they protect their fragile developing identity from the crushing weight of expectations.
Section 3. Why peer approval carries more weight. Evolutionary survival.
Now that brings us to a truth that can be, well, a bit painful for parents to swallow. Why does a casual compliment from a friend suddenly mean the absolute world, while your deepest expression of pride gets nothing but a dismissive shrug? The answer lies deep in evolutionary survival. For a teenager, pure approval isn't just nice to have. Their brain actively perceives it as a high-stakes survival metric. Think about it. Thousands of years ago, if a young person was cast out of the pack, they wouldn't survive the harsh elements. The modern teen brain is still hardwired with this exact instinct. I must belong to the group to survive. The parent, on the other hand, you're an already secured asset. You are the guaranteed baseline. Their brain doesn't need to work overtime to keep you around.
So the crucial point is this. When your teen's eyes light up at a friend's compliment but they totally ignore yours, it is absolutely not a sign of disrespect or a lack of love. It is actually a profound sign that they know you are permanent. Peers come and go. Friendships are incredibly volatile in adolescence. But you remain. Your unconditional presence is exactly why your praise doesn't register as a high-alert surprise. You're their safe harbor, you're the unbreakable foundation they stand on, even if they never ever admit it out loud.
Section 4. Praising the process instead of the result. A new way to connect.
So, knowing all this science and psychology, how do we adapt, right? How do we break through that defense shield? Well, the specific way we deliver our praise directly determines the teenager's neurological and emotional reaction. Let's move to and see how this builds. Take result praise, for example. Saying, "You are so smart" or "You are great" attaches their worth to a fixed trait or a final outcome. And that creates the anxiety of having to always be smart or great. But process praise, saying something like, "Hey, I saw how hard you worked," or "I noticed you didn't give up when that math problem got really difficult," that shifts the focus entirely. It totally removes that terrifying burden of future perfection and purely validates their actual lived experience in the moment.
Because when you praise the process, you tap into the absolute deepest neurological craving of the adolescent brain, the profound desire to be truly seen. Not just evaluated for their grades or their goals or their natural talents, but recognized for their effort, their struggle, the whole shebang. Feeling seen gracefully bypasses all those complex defense mechanisms we talked about earlier. It doesn't trigger the fear of future failure. Instead, it connects directly with their core need for understanding and validation.
So let's go right back to that dinner table scenario. You say you're proud, they say, okay. We need to completely reframe how we view that response. That okay is not a rejection. It is a safe, protective container. It really translates to, I heard it, it sank in, but this compliment feels too big, and I just don't know how to carry this much emotion or expectation yet. They are carefully taking your compliment and holding it safe behind a shield until they're strong enough to actually internalize it and believe it themselves.
Which leaves us with this final thought. The next time you offer a piece of your heart, the next time you look across the table and tell them just how proud you are, and you get nothing but a flat shrug and an okay, take a breath. Look closer. You now know the complex neurological wiring and the silent identity battles happening just beneath the surface. You know they hear you, and you know they need you as their baseline. So the question is, armed with this understanding, what will you see behind the next okay?